talking about 20 tricky green card interview questions that we're going to hear in green card interviews in 2024. So, welcome to this live. Come on in. I see a lot of you joining in already. Omo West 05. Thank you for being here. Jeff Frank. Thank you for being here. We are live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube discussing marriage green card interviews in 2024. Mr. Tusk from Houston, welcome. All right. These questions, I've heard them in interviews I've attended with my clients, and I've seen people on my group, my Facebook group, talking about these questions. So these questions are not getting waived this year, guys. So pay attention for the 20 tricky questions that you will hear in these interviews and how you can answer them. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments and we can discuss some answers, give you some tips. And by the way, if you're just seeing me for the first time, I'm Ify, your go-to immigration attorney here in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I help clients all over the USA. So I invite you to book a consultation with me for any one-on-one discussion about your immigration case so I can help you file your process or provide any type of legal support that you need, okay? All right. So I'm just going to dive into the questions, and as I see comments coming in, I'm going to answer you live so you can get that immediate guidance that you need or clarity, whatever you need to help you down your process of getting a green card, especially through marriage. At this law firm, we help other family members who qualify to file for their loved ones, like a parent filing for a child. If it's an adult child, though, that stuff takes forever. But we still give you your options, whatever immediate relief you qualify for. We help you get those, like a work permit, travel permit. Lots of people benefit from that. They're able to see their families, even though the green card process can take a while. Okay, so that's what I'm here for. That's what I do at my law firm. I've learned this live. We'll get into these questions. Hopefully, if you get called for an interview, you can answer them. If you need additional guidance, you can get that. But if your marriage is bona fide, guys, I believe you should be able to answer these questions. Okay, Omo West, do I still remember you from Houston? Omo West, I'm not sure. Give me some more tips. I know a lot of people in Houston, but thank you for being on this live. And I see you have a question. Let's get into that before I discuss the 20 tricky questions you expect to hear at your marriage green card interview. All right. OMOS says, hey, Ify, how long will I wait for my citizen, before citizen, after permanent green card with marriage? Do I understand that question? Let me see. How long would you wait to become a citizen after you have a green card through marriage? Great question, OMOS. Give me a thumbs up if I said that correctly, if I'm hearing you correctly. That's a very common question we get because being a permanent resident is only the first step of your journey towards citizenship. Somebody on my other live asked me, if they can just become a citizen because their child is now a permanent resident. I was like, no, you have to be a permanent resident before you become a citizen. So great question. Almo, if that's what you're asking, how long it'll take for you to become a U.S. citizen is generally 3 years. After your permanent residency. If you're still married to your U.S. citizen spouse, the marriage is legitimate and everything is going good, you can definitely apply to naturalize and become a U.S. citizen. So I hope that answers. And let me know in the comments if you went for a green card interview, almost for your green card that you have through marriage. Some people's interviews get waived, but in 2024, I've seen a trend of interviews coming back. It was the COVID time where you see interviews being waived. If the couple just shows enough bona fides, they're like, yeah, we believe you, get your green card. Usually temporary ones, because you have to then do another proof after 2 years, right? So one question very common that you'll see here, and it's also very tricky if you and your spouse are not on the same page is how did you meet your spouse and what attracted you to them? Okay. This is something standard that every couple should know about. But for the marriage green card purpose, when they're asking you at your interview, they expect your answers to line up and there's no ums or guesses or confusions about what's actually attracted you to this person. Why are we even here doing a marriage, right? So if you can get clarity on that with your spouse and know basically how you met. Some people have gone to interviews and they'll say, well, we met. It's like the same day, but different times in the day when they met. They just couldn't really remember because they didn't have that meeting of the mind with their spouse. So you need to have that meeting, talk with your spouse to get to know, when does this really even start? When did we become a thing? Don't just flow into it. Another question you hear very common, or the second most asked questions, is can you describe your typical daily routine of your spouse, of each other as a couple? Can you describe that daily routine? Like, what do you do in the morning? Does your spouse go to work? Do you go to school? Even if you don't live together, you would know their daily routine, their typical daily routine, because you communicate via text, right? So they're going to ask you that question. It is very tricky because every day is different, but there is a routine. You know the person's job, you know what they will tend to do. They go work out or they take care of the baby, take the kid to school, like those types of things you would know. So it's not going to be 100% accurate because we're not robots. Somebody asked me that in a consultation the other day. Um, He's like, I'm not really good with dates, but how do I answer a question about like when we met or how we met? I was like, you don't need to be all that specific, but you need to know at least it was in the summertime. It was, sometime around July. It was at a party. You need to know those details. You don't have to be like 5 p.m. on Friday on a Thursday afternoon. No, you don't have to be that specific, but you just have to know some typical things. So the same thing like with the routine. Okay. And give me a thumbs up if you're hearing what I'm saying and this is making sense to you since you're waiting for your green card through marriage. I see Psycho. Thank you for joining. And Angie and Hastro Brown, all of you all on live on Instagram. Let me give you a wave. Welcome in. Thank you. So give me a thumbs up if this is adding value to you in this process. And my number, like I said, is going to be pinned in the comment section so you can reach out after the live for any further discussions. We do offer a separate service of interview prep and attendance for people who are our clients and not our clients. So just anyone going for an interview needing that type of service, that's something that we offer as well. So if you're worried about the questions that are going to come up or just the entire situation in the interview, I'll be happy to provide that support and ensure, because this is the last step, guys. If you get called for your interview, that is the last step. Now, some people don't get approved right away at the interview. That happens sometimes because there are different complications that could come up, or maybe there's just new evidence they need to review. Nothing bad. Maybe as soon as you walk out, you're already approved, right? But it really just depends. And some agents or some, I let me not name names, but some field offices are more difficult than others just because of what they have to go through. Maybe there's just a lot of people there. I've been to the New York field office. It wasn't an easy one. It was a 6-hour Stokes interview. That was not even fun, but obviously they got approved. So, so it just really depends, right? We can't really predict, but if you just need that support, the attorney is obviously not going to answer the questions for you. That's why you need to practice with your spouse because, we're just there as representation. If something goes left and you need to know what your rights are in that moment, what you need to say and not say, because you also have that right to not basically make statements that would incriminate you. Just don't lie. The best thing I'm telling my clients, if you don't know the answer to something, just be like, I don't know. I don't know is a much better answer than just making up a story. Like, so people are impulsive liars and they just start coming up with shit. I'm like, dude, this interview is just for formality. They already know what they need to know. Just tell the truth. It's mostly about your relationship. They want to see you and your spouse together, especially if they're not really sure about the evidence you submitted at first, right? If that's going to be enough to prove that this is a real relationship. Uh, for the ones they've waived in the past, they weren't necessarily married for a long time or anything very, obvious that we're like, oh yeah, this is definitely why I got waived, right? Because there are couples that I have very strong evidence of real marriage, but they're still waiting. I think I was actually told that the interview was waived, but even when they tell you they waived the interview, it will still take a while for you to actually get that green card in the mail. So patience is key, when you're dealing with immigration. But if you know how to answer these questions at the interview, you're basically set. So whatever they throw at you, this is the last phase. If you have your medicals done, make sure you send in your medicals with the application, guys. This is 2024. They're no longer waiting to the end, because if they're going to waive your interview and you've sent your medicals, great, you just get your green card. But if they have to send you an RFE for your medical, that's also a good time, because that's also the end, but it still kind of extends the wait time. So even if you get that interview waived, it's still just going to extend the whole thing. Okay. So keep that in mind when you are applying for your green card through family, especially through marriage, and learn these things. If you do want a copy to our free interview questions that I put together from like 2021, when was the last interview I went to? I think it was sometime around that COVID time, but before it became serious, because I remember I used to have to wear face masks and stuff. But during that time when interviews were really happening, I used to attend a lot, and I put these questions together. So I put together that guide for you. If you check out my website, marriagegreencard.us, you should be able to get access to that guide. Okay. But I'll keep on reading through the questions. I think I've only gotten through like the first 5 or so, but let's just keep on going. There are 20 of them that I picked out for this live to just highlight some things. As you can see, when I see one question, it triggers something else, because there's a lot that goes into determining that a marriage is actually real and not for the green card purpose. Many people get offended sometimes when they ask them questions about the realness of their marriage, because they're like, well, my marriage is real. So I don't know why I have to explain all this, especially the US citizens, because they're not applying for any benefit here, right? So they really feel it's their right to do this. But the thing is, when it comes to getting any type of government benefits, there's always that burden on you, the applicant, to show the government how you qualify for it, which is why they put all these requirements that may seem a little bit extreme. A normal couple doesn't pay attention to half of this stuff that they're asking, like what's the color of your couch or your rug, all those types of questions. But when you're applying for a benefit, it is on you to really prove beyond a reasonable doubt with all your evidence that this relationship is legitimate, right? And I qualify for this benefit. Okay? Welcome in Ricky and Maria and Kirk Gregory. I think I've seen your name before on Instagram. Thank you for being here. I think Mr. Tusk was on YouTube earlier. Thank you for watching. Make sure you share this live with your friends. Very important topic for those people who are concerned about their marriage green card interview process. It's not being waived anymore as much as we used to see in 2020, 2021. It's now a requirement. It could very well be a requirement especially if you're married less than 2 years. You need to show them that this, you mean what you're saying, because they're watching your body language. There's a lot of things that go on with interviews, not just the questions. This part also plays into the body language, because if they throw a question at you, they're going to watch to see how you respond to it. Okay. Now, questions like, how did you decide to get married and who proposed? Very important. I always ask this to my clients whenever they come in for a consultation. That's always something I try to get them to discuss. And I see the back and forth sometimes because they forgot, because they're just in love and living their lives, right? And as you should, right? You should. However, we are applying for a benefit here, and it is up to you and us. If you work with us, we help you determine the best documents that you need to prove what the USCIS is looking for, which is your commitment to actually build a future together. All right? In a previous live, I discussed with one of the finance people that follows my page. She was on this live, and we talked about a life insurance as proof of real marriage. And I always, I have my opinions about that. And some people use that and it works. But I have, based on my opinions, I saw a denial happen for some other lady who came to me after the denial. And one of the things that the agent mentioned was the fact that they had this life insurance that was only like $15 a month or something really small, and it was just for a very short amount of time, so it really wasn't enough evidence. And I was like, I knew it's like, make it make sense. You just met someone, okay? You didn't get any other type of insurance. You just straight went to New York Life or wherever the F, because they told you it was going to be a cheap monthly thing. They gave you something. Don't think about what's cheap monthly. In fact, it's better for you to even go and get Costco card or Sam's Club card together than to get life insurance. This is just me, okay? If I'm working with you on your documents, I'm going to tell you what I know is persuasive. Okay, a family is going to eat, so you're going to buy things in bulk. That makes sense versus life insurance that is really dependent on somebody dying. So that's not futuristic to me. Now, it could be in some sense that, well, perhaps, obviously, nobody knows tomorrow. We're just all living on borrowed time, right? Anybody could just literally die at any moment. And then this is how I'm going to prepare my family and so on and so forth. But I still, beg to differ, especially when it's a new couple. There are other ways that you can prove to USCIS that your marriage is real. You can get life insurance all you want, but there's just other ways to do it that's more persuasive, and we can definitely help you with that. So call my number, okay? Call me out here in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can call me right now. I have a team of people waiting on the lines to pick up your call and book a time with me. Actually, I forgot to mention that the last 7 days of the month, I believe we are in the last week of April, we are running a 50% off special for consultations with either myself or my paralegal, so you can get to speak with one of us for as low as $50 this month. That's essentially what it's looking like. So let's check that out. Just reach out to us so that we can give you the options for what's available for this month. For the rest of the month, get some clarity as well. In this second quarter is moving pretty fast, guys. Let's get some clarity on what you qualify for, how you need to position yourself to take advantage of your immigration process, of your benefits. Don't miss out on anything because you didn't get the right guidance on time. Okay, I've been able to correct many mistakes here and there. Get some people their waivers after they didn't realize they needed one or waited too long to get one. Vaccine waivers or waivers of inadmissibility, other like misrepresentation. There was one that this one, I think I've talked about it, but it was kind of waived without even an I-601. Well, granted, we were in the I-130 phase, but one of the reasons why they were going to deny the I-130 was because of a misrepresentation, meaning that the beneficiary, the non-U.S. citizen, was married before and needed to provide proof of divorce. So that's a misrep, one. And then If you don't have proof of divorce, that means you're still married. That means you can't be married to your I-130 spouse. That means you don't qualify. So we had to fight that one. And that also, found its way to an approval. So we thank God for all those wins. And I know I can give you at least give you the best shot at winning with your immigration process. So whatever it is you qualify for, if you don't know what you qualify for, still reach out to us and my team will be able to help you, point you in the right direction, give you some resources to help you move forward. All right. So let's get to number 6, right? Is that where I'm at? I'm losing track at this point. But you all can definitely get those free questions from us and just go through it at your own pace. But yes, let's see, number 5 and 6, I guess. Okay, so what do you love most about your spouse? That's number 5. What do you love most about your spouse? Number 6 will be, can you share a challenging experience you faced together as a couple and how you overcame it? Ooh, that one's tricky. Because challenging experience is D. So which one are we going to pick? Right? That's why you have to have a conversation with your spouse to know, what are we going to discuss here? Like, what's the biggest thing we have to overcome here? It might even be the lack of your spouse having papers, having the ability to work, right? Having to pay for everything. It's tough. I know couples always at the brink, when they're going through this immigration process, because it's maddening. The wait time, nobody's telling you anything. You talk to your lawyer and they're like, oh, just wait. You call USCIS, they're like, yeah, just wait. It's like, what is, I need to work. I need my papers. We expedite nothing. I mean, it just all seems unfair. And then somebody on Facebook says, oh, woohoo, applied 30 days ago and I just got approved. And you're like, what the F? Really frustrating, and then you just take it out on your spouse because you are just mad, and you just take it out on your spouse because that's just a human thing to do. Some people get through it, some people don't. They actually divorce in my presence. Okay, they stop their cases, they do all sorts of things, they switch to VAWA because it's become abusive. So many things happen. Okay. um but just try to talk about that. How did you overcome those challenges? All right. On number 7, how or do you have any joint financial accounts or investments? That's a question you definitely need to know the answer to. And we simply answer these questions in our document collection process. We always get the clients to provide their joint accounts. If they don't have one, we tell them to go get one. That's pretty easy to get. You don't need to be a U.S. citizen or have a social, all those things people think, for you to get a joint account. There are many banks that would allow you to be at like what they call this, an authorized user of a card or of the account without being a U.S. citizen. All those other things people like to say. So don't block yourself. Get some joint financial accounts or investments. Investments, it's not for everyone. I see some couples that buy property together because some people they have money, right? So some immigrants are coming, they're not in that position yet. They're coming here to build. So if you don't have investments, that's fine. Just get joint account. File taxes together. Those are the basic ones you can do. But if you buy a house together, buy a car together, build, so you do some things together where you're putting in real money, that's showing your intent to continue that relationship, right? That's the point, because entering into these $1,000 agreements with somebody that they intend to like peace out after like 2 years. All right. I heard that one of the 90-day fiance people, as soon as he entered America, I hope he waited to at least file his I-45, because you can't really just do that. If you enter the U.S. on a K-1 visa, you have to get married to the person to apply. But actually, I believe they actually got married in Nigeria. I don't know. I don't remember their names, so I'm not going to say any names in case I mess up. But it's some couple on 90 Day Fiance. I heard that when I went to my ortho. She said, can you believe that he just left, ran away, basically, and left his wife. So sometimes that happens, but if you're going to basically not continue the relationship, it's going to affect your U.S. citizenship, sometimes removal of conditions, except there was abuse. In this case, I really think there was abuse, or maybe they're just doing it for TV. I don't know. I need to watch more of that 90 Day Fiance because apparently it has lots of content that I can discuss about with y'all because there's a lot of verbal abuse you see. For fiancés, it might be a bit challenging if to switch or file a VAWA situation, but you might qualify for another type of humanitarian visa if you come into the USA on a fiance visa and your fiance all of a sudden becomes like this different person. Okay, but I digress. That's a whole another side of immigration that I'm thankful exists, which is the VAWA self-petition humanitarian side that helps victims of abuse. But that side usually don't attend interviews. Well, scratch that actually, because one of my VAWA clients attended an I-45 interview. So potentially you may be called for an interview. So whether you apply through VAWA self-petition or marriage based, you may have to do an I-45 interview. So they won't ask you all these questions in terms of how do you meet your spouse and all that stuff. If it's about the I-45, it's more about your admissibility, how you entered, basically what led to that overstay, were you living with this person the whole time, or stuff like that. They just kind of want to know if there's any misrepresentation or any reasons why you wouldn't qualify for the green card. They're not going to ask you were you really abused. If you got a therapist or psychological evaluation, that's the answer. They should look at that one. So they're not going to ask you those types of questions. Is more about your admissibility and maybe just to see if the marriage was really legit, like were you living together. Living together is one of the requirements for VAWA self-petition, but the duration really doesn't matter if you've lived with them at least for a day, as soon as you got married, right, and you lived with them and they basically abandoned you or became abusive towards you verbally, emotionally, just any type of manipulative tactics, financially, like some lady, like who is this lady? I think she might actually be my client now. I'm not trying to think which one she is because she told me this story that just stuck with me. Well, I'll just remember after, but she told me this story that just stuck with me about her husband. She said on the wedding day, the day she was still wearing her white dress, this man took her to ATM. Why can I not remember this woman's name now? Anyways, took her to ATM to go and withdraw money that he had to do something urgently, yada yada yada. But that was just the beginning of the abuse. Oh, okay, I remember the lady now. She actually didn't. Okay, I don't think. I think we just had a consultation. Yes, yes, yes. But that was very. I was like, whoa, girl, you're being abused. Because I think the contention there is, there's no proof of abuse. I was like, this is classic financial abuse. Because did he use that money for the urgent thing that he said he has to do? I think it was even to furnish where they would live or whatever. Nope. What happened? Disappears, come back, ask for more money and manipulate and all that. You're waiting for your green card. So the advice that time was to basically file a self-petition because you're not going to wait around forever for this person who's just basically using you for money to pay their bills and whatever. Like, no, So anyways, that's that. Let's see, number 7. Number 7, do you have any? Okay, I already said that. Joint financial assets. Okay, number 8. We're going through 20 questions, guys. So it's a long list, and I'm not really seeing any additional questions about this. So I'm assuming you all are enjoying this. So give me a thumbs up as you're joining in. Thank you, Eugene, Kizzo, V. Samuels. Feel free to ask questions if you have any. But for now, I'll just get through these 20 questions quickly. Let me see if I can do 2 at a time. Patricia, bear with me. I don't know if we're putting this on screen, but I believe once you get the free guide, you should be able to have access to that. So I'll just freestyle it, and so we can leave room for some questions, if any. But this is a 45-minute live session where I come in to give you some tips, give you some guidance on your green card process, and also answer your questions that you may have while listening to me, or just questions you've had this whole time about your process. So that's what we're doing here. So those of you just joining, thank you very much. Share this live with your friends. Know that we come live every Tuesday and Thursday in the morning, Eastern time, around 11:30 Eastern time. So we're here sharing with you, talking. I don't have my TikTok people today, but yeah, TikTok, we're usually on there just doing lifestyle stuff. So you can subscribe on my TikTok page to follow with that. But here on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, we're going to be doing this Q&A sessions and just talking about frequently asked questions that I see on my group. And today's topic is the interviews. So let's keep on going, guys. Okay. All right. So for number 8, it says, how do you divide household responsibilities and chores? Okay. If you're a Nigerian man, make sure you go through discussion with your spouse, because you all need to know about the things you do in the house. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be doing the household chores. You need to know how it's delegated. So if it's that, or we call a cleaning service, great, tell them that. That's how we do it. I just call cleaning service and they handle the cleaning, whatever. But the chores, make sure you know who's doing the day-to-day in the house. Now, this is also the reason why misrepresentation just will never help you in any way. Because if you say you're living together, right, on your forms and everything, but you're not actually living together, and yes, people do that. They're not actually living together, but they put that address just so that whatever, so they can, it seems like they're building a life together, right? But if they ask you, so what are your household responsibilities or daily routines, you're not going to know because you don't live together. So, but if you say you don't live together, of which living together is great, but not a requirement, it is a supporting evidence of your bona fide marriage, is not a requirement. If you're not living together, then they will have other questions to ask you, like, well, how often do you see your spouse? Do you travel every weekend? Do you drive? Do you fly? Like, what do you do? And then when you go there, you're going to be taking pictures together, doing things like, what is the plan? You need to have that down pat. That's why you're discussing with your spouse. So making up stuff here and there is not going to help you in any way. And some people also report that their spouse goes there to sabotage the green card interview by not answering certain things or saying they don't know on certain things. But I think it's also because you did not prepare beforehand. So you didn't even get the sense that your spouse is even planning for you. Okay? If you prepare beforehand, you will know that this person is never on board. They're just playing with me and they're going to mess me up. I've seen this happen. Whenever I'm telling you all situations, I'm not just making this up. This is from my experience with hundreds and hundreds of clients over the years. And I'll tell them, okay, this person is saying they're going to attend, but they're really not going to attend because XYZ, because I can already see ahead. And then they don't listen, and then the person really doesn't attend. I'm like, you have to listen. This is why you get an attorney. If I give you advice and you don't listen, there's not much I'm going to do in that moment, because the client ultimately will do what they need to do for their case. But you have to know that people can use your interview as a tool for manipulation as well. And if you don't prepare ahead of time, you will be blindsided. I've seen someone on my live come up and say that too. I was like, did you know I was going to do that? Or it blindsided. They were like, yeah, no idea. Things are going well. But that's because they didn't ask these difficult questions. So it triggers the response. We're humans, right? If you watch the person or see how they react to certain questions, they're going to be triggered, whatever. Then you get to know what their true thoughts are about this process and how they're actually going to represent you as a couple. All right. So What are your plans for the future as a married couple? That's question number 9. What are your plans? Number 10, can you provide details about your spouse's family members and your relationship with them? Very important. Rolando, thank you for joining this live. We can do, let me know what your question is about, and then we can do a video, a chat. But I'm Ify, your go-to immigration lawyer, here doing this Q&A session and giving you some questions, top 20 questions that you need to know if you're going to attend a marriage green card interview. So let me know what your question is. I'll be happy to get you on camera. Well, right now I'm on question number 10, which I think is very important for the audience to know that we, they're going to ask you for sure about extended family. And I always do that test during my consultations. How do how well do you know the mom? I mean, you need to know your mother-in-law. Somebody the other day called and said they actually have never spoken to their husband's mom. I'm like, see what's happened, and you're about to get married next month. Make it make sense. Okay. You need to be able to have that conversation with them, even if there's a language barrier, for example, which I was thinking maybe that's what's happening in this scenario. You need to find a way to fix that barrier in the sense of communicating in different ways. Communicating is not always about talking back and forth, but you need to see this person physically or a FaceTime call or however, and just look at each other. You need to just know each other. You really can't be marrying somebody without knowing their family members. I mean, apart from immigration reasons, for several other reasons, like you need to know if everybody's head is correct in that family. Okay. I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not really a joke. You really need to know about the family that you're going to be marrying into. And for immigration purposes, they'll want to know how you relate to them. It doesn't have to be a close relationship. We are not robots. You don't have to make this stuff up. Just say, well, yeah, it's cool. If they have an adult child or, a grown child, sometimes you don't have a relationship with them, because that really happened in one of the cases I'm working on right now, because the children don't relate to their father because of other reasons. So therefore, my immigrant a client doesn't really relate to children, but she knows of them, but and that's the answer, right? If you're not making up shit at that point, you're gonna put yourself in problems with misrepresentation. Because what's misrepresentation? It's essentially lying to get immigration benefits, hiding the truth, or just lying. So like I said, just don't know. It's better for you not to know than to do too much. Okay, relax. All right, let's get to question number 11. Question number 11, we're more than halfway through. Once I'm done with the 20 questions, I'll answer any questions that I see pop up in the chat. But if not, we're right around the 45-minute mark, and we should be done for today. I believe I have 2 more consultations today, so I'm going to get into those. And what else? There's just more meetings, guys. Being a lawyer and a business owner just means we're having lives, meetings, phone calls, lives, meetings, phone calls. So that's exciting. And I'm thankful to have you all as my audience, people who support me, my team members, everyone else who's playing along, and we're doing this thing. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. So question number 11. It is about extended family as well. So have you met each other's extended family? If so, describe the interactions. That's essentially what I was saying from number 10. You need to know these people, okay? You have to. You just have to, because this is a future connection you're making. So make sure you know those questions. Ask them questions. This is also how you find out if your so-called husband-to-be has another family elsewhere. If you don't ask questions, you're not going to know. Next thing you now be blaming and say, oh, they deceived me. No, you didn't ask questions. Investigate the person that you're marrying. Don't just meet people on Facebook and marry them. Like, pisses me off. Don't do that. Oride of Lagos. That is a very interesting way to compliment, but thank you very much. Oride says you have cute eyeballs. That is deep. But thank you for watching my live. I appreciate you for being here. And today I'm talking about 20 interview questions, tricky ones that you will find in a merit-based green card interview, and how to answer them. Essentially, the purpose of these questions and how to answer them if you're going through that process. And remember, if you need a copy of these free interview questions, you can get that on my website, marriagegreencard.us. All right? Gracias. Thank you. Okay, number 12. Can you recall specific details about your spouse's childhood or upbringing? Okay, this one also going to spark some conversation with y'all. Know about, if the person, especially if there's a cultural difference, you need to know about that. Yeah. So, talk with your spouse, learn about them, then you can answer these questions easily. Okay. Number 12 or 13. And everything is just like jumbled up to me now. Number 13, how do you celebrate holidays and special occasions together? Very, very important. This one, it's a two-edged type of question, and it's very powerful and juicy because it gives you the opportunity not only to answer correctly here and be like, yes, bona fide, you can also provide supporting evidence about those holidays in terms of the gifts that you shared. Because if you're talking birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, Thanksgiving, what are the holidays they have? Easter. If y'all are not even doing those normal pagan holidays or Christian holidays, whatever type of holidays, there are other ones maybe specific to your culture or to yourselves that you most likely celebrate. So get to know those days. You now have the gift receipts or the gift itself or a photograph of the day. Lots and lots you can do with that one there. So how do you celebrate those occasions? Know the differences, know the similarities, and discuss. All right. Alrighty of Lagos. You can reach out to me through my phone number, which is pinned in the comments. I believe maybe it's pinned on Facebook and YouTube, but I'll pin it in the comments. Or once this live is posted, you'll see it in the caption. You can definitely just reach out to me by phone there. If you are outside the USA, my email is going to be there. You can also send me an email so that we can reach out to you, or just DM me, really. If you want to book a call, our calls are usually via Zoom or Google Meets, just online. We can do it wherever you are in the world. So just reach out to me those ways. Let's get you some help. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Question number 14. Can you describe any recent trips or vacations that you've taken together? Okay. Important. It doesn't even have to be anything that extravagant or big. It's just, you get the point, right? You know what they're trying to find out here. So keep that in mind. And if there's none, just be like, oh, we haven't been on any trips or vacations because we're just waiting until he gets the travel permit or whatever. That's what some people really tell me too, because when they get their travel permit, they still don't want to travel. They just want to wait till they get the green card. So that's your answer. So like I said, it's nothing that has to be perfect. It just has to make sense and it has to match. If they separate you two and ask you these questions, you have to be able to say similar things. I believe one officer broke it down for me one time. He said, if they separate you, they're looking for a higher standard. So it's going to be like 80% accuracy or something crazy like that. But if you're together, they'll take 50% even, because like I said, we're humans, not robots. So be yourself, be confident. If you need additional support, legal support, I'll be able to provide that for you with my service of attendance or just a prep, just a guide so you can know what to expect, especially if you have any complications. It's usually for people with complications, they're scared. Nobody's going to pick you up and deport you that day anyway. I know someone on TikTok Live asked the other day, like, how soon after your case is denied would they deport you or something like that. I was like, girl, ain't nobody deporting you. They give you your 33 days for you to do your motion to reopen and all of that. If you're not in ICE custody yet, you know how many people are living in the USA undocumented and whatever. It's when you commit crimes or do things that lead you to get into custody, and then we get to start that whole process of removal and all of that. But if you have a US citizen relative, if you filed a vow self petition, there's usually ways to get you out of that pretty quickly. So deporting you right away is wild. Okay, that's what they used to be abusing people. They really, some US citizens really think that they have some type of, I don't know, power and they can just call ICE and be like, yeah, deport this person now. No, not happening. That's not how deportation works. They don't just, I mean, who's paying for these flights? So what are they doing? They be stretching that stuff out. Ask your friends who have any removal proceedings. No court dates till, some time out. Except you're like some hardcore criminal, then you're out of here. So it's quite different. All right. But anyways, I digress. Let's get into number 15. And with that, we're at the last part of the questions, and I'm right at the 45-minute mark. So I will invite you all again to reach out to me for more guidance with your immigration stuff outside of this. So let's get through this. For Instagram, I'm actually going to end this right now for you all, but make sure you follow me and comment if you have more questions about this. Okay? Thank you very much. All right. So 5 more questions quickly. Can you describe, and Patricia, I'll fill you in on this whole thing right now. Oh, in a little bit. But anyways, can you describe your recent trips? So that's 14. I did that. Or number 15, have you discussed having children together? And if so, what are your plans? Number 16 says, can you explain your cultural or religious differences between you and your spouse and how you navigate them? Because there usually is a cultural difference. This is immigration, right? So generally that's the theme of the whole thing. Is 2 different people come together here. But anyways, if you can navigate those, you tell them how you do it, or if it's no issue at all, if you're not religious, just give them that answer. Number 17 says, what are your favorite activities to do together in your free time? Great question. This also shows your commingled day-to-day life, so take note of that. Number 18 says, can you provide details about your spouse's employment history and current job? Very important one as well, tied to the very first one where they asked about your daily routine. So if the person goes to work, then oh yeah, they go to work every morning. This is where they work. Do they wear a uniform? I've seen that before. It's not on here, but they would ask you what type of job they do, things like that. Make sure you know about their employment history and their current job. All right. Number 19 says, how do you support each other emotionally during challenging times? Great question, insightful question to know, whether for USCIS or not. You just need to know this stuff, okay, about the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. All right. So number 19 and 20. Okay, I guess that was 19. And then 20 says, can you share any future goals or aspirations you have as a couple? Nobody ever asked this. Nobody really talks about this. We're always just focusing on, I want to get my work permit. I want to travel. But you don't really talk about the end goal here. What are we doing? Why did we even come together as a couple? Now we're here and we've started this family. Like, what's the end goal? What is the future aspiration for us? So that's something very important to know together as a couple. Like I said, many of these things will help your relationship much more than even just for the green card interview, because communication is key when you're merging with somebody else, a strange person, and you're trying to build something. If you can know these things about them, you'll excel as a person and also in your green card interview. Okay. All right. So there you have it. Top 20 tricky marriage green card interview questions. I'm Ify, your host and go-to immigration attorney for all things family-based green card. I thank you for being here, watching this. Patricia, thank you very much for helping me to host this. And I will see you all in another live. We're here for 15 minutes today, which is great timing. For those of you who participated, I thank you for being here as well. So with that, I will end this live and we'll come again here on Thursday morning, Eastern time, telling you all about your marriage-based immigration and how to succeed as an immigrant here. All right. Take care, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.